Hello grade 6. For today, we'll be discussing finding the least common denominator, or what we know as LCD. By the way, what is LCD, or the least common denominator? The LCD is just the LCM, or the least common multiple. Let me write it down. Least common multiple of the denominators. For it to be clearer, look at this example. Suppose we have three fractions, 1/2, 1/3, and 1/4. If the question is find the LCD, just have to look at the denominators. That would be 2, 3, and 4, and look for their LCM. If you remember in lower mathematics, how do we get the least common multiple? All you have to do is just write the numbers. We have 2, we have 3, and we have 4, and we will be using the listing method. In that method, you have to write down the multiples of each number until we get the common, the least common multiple of all those numbers. So for 2, we have 4, we have 6, we have 8, we have 10, we have 12. For 3, the multiples of 3 are 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. And for 4, we can have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and so on. How do we now get the LCM of the numbers 2, 3, and 4? Since it is LCM, we will look for the lowest common multiple. Let's look at the multiples. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. If we look at the three sets of multiples, which is common to them? Clearly, we can see 12 here, 12 here, and another 12 here. So therefore, the LCM of 2, 3, and 4 is 12. Since the LCM of 2, 3, and 4 is 12, therefore, the least common denominator of 1/2, 1/3, and 1/4 is just 12. Moving on, in grade 6, we will learn the many methods of finding the LCD. We have 3 cases or 3 methods in finding the LCD. The first one, we have case number 1, wherein the denominators are relatively prime. Later we'll explain what this means, what relatively prime means. And in this case, the LCD is just the product of the denominators. For case 2, we have the denominator is a multiple of the other denominators. In this case, the LCD is just the higher denominator. And for the last case, we have case 3, denominators have a common factor. In this case, we have the LCD as the result of continuous division. Let us now discuss the examples under case 1, case 2, and case 3. Back in your grade 4 and grade 5, we learned the 2 methods. We have the listing method and the continuous division method. For this year, I'll be teaching you 3 cases or 3 methods. The first 2 cases are just shortcuts. Let's start with case 1. Going back to the previous paper I've shown you, for case 1, the denominators are relatively prime. When we say relatively prime, meaning the denominators, for example, in number 1, we have 1/5 and 3/4. 5 and 4 do not have a common factor. What does that mean? Meaning 5 and 4 are not divisible by any number. They are not divisible by 2. 4 is divisible by 2, but 5 is not divisible by 2. 5 is divisible by 5, but 4 is not divisible by 5. They do not have a common factor. That is what relatively prime means. If you want to write down the definition of relatively prime, meaning they do not have numbers which do not have a common factor. Make sure you are writing this down in your notebook. This one will be our definition of relatively prime numbers. Let's now find the LCD of the two examples here. We have 1/5 and 3/4. Since 5 and 4 do not have common factor, meaning they are relatively prime, the LCD will just be computed by, let's have it here, the LCD of these two fractions is just the product of the denominators, meaning it will just become 5 times 4, and that would be equal to 20. Okay, this is the shorter way of getting the LCD, if and only if the denominators are relatively prime. For number 2, let's see, we have 7, 2, and 9. Can you find any common factor among 7, 2, and 9? There is none, so therefore, this falls under case 1. The LCD is just the product of 7, 2, and 9. So this will become 7 times 2 times 9. And that would be 7 times 2, 14 times 9. You can do manual multiplication, but 14 times 9 would be, let's try to get a piece of paper here. So 14 times 9, 9 times 4 would be 36, and 9 times 1 is 9 plus 3, 126. So therefore, the LCD of 3/7, 1/2, and 5/9 is 126. Okay, let's now go to the second case, case 2. For case 2, the condition here now would be a denominator is a multiple of another denominator. So let's try to look at number 1. We have 5/6 and 1/3. If we look at 6 and 1/3, is 6 a multiple of 3? Yes, it is. So therefore, the LCD will just be computed as, or solved as, it is just the higher denominator. Since 6 is a multiple of 3, therefore the LCD is 6. You don't have to solve for anything. For the second example, we have 49/50, 23/25, and 99/100. Let us see if a denominator is a multiple of the other denominators. Let's look at the highest here and the lowest. The lowest is 25 and the highest is 100. Is 100 a multiple of 25? Yes. Is 100 a multiple of 50? Yes, again. Therefore, the LCD is just equal to 100. Again, this will only work if a number is a multiple of the other denominators. And for the last case, the denominators have a common factor. Let's look at this one. We have 8/15 and 21/25. If you check case 1 here, it's not applicable because 15 and 25 have a common factor. If you check case 2, it's not applicable also because 25 is not a multiple of 15. In this case, the only choice we have is to use the continuous division. How do we do it? Just list down 15 here and 25 and find a common factor of 15 and 25. That would be 5. Just divide 15 divided by 5 would be 3. 25 divided by 5 would be 5. Just continue. You copy 3 here. 3 divided by 3 would be 1. And 5 divided by 3 would be, cannot be. Just bring this down. And then we have here 5. 1 divided by 5 cannot be. 5 divided by 5 is 1. We will stop until we get to 1 and 1. So therefore, the LCD using the continuous division method will just become 5 times 3 times 5. That's 5 times 3, 15 times 5 would be 75. Okay. And the second example. We have 7 over 28, 5 over 18, and 8 over 9. Here, 18 is a multiple of 9, but 28 is not a multiple of 9. So we don't have a choice but to use the long division, the continuous division method. So we have 28, 18, and 9. What's a common factor? 28 and 18, or 18 and 9, they are both divisible by 9. So let's divide both. 28 by 9 can't be. Just copy it. 18 divided by 9 would be 2. And 9 divided by 9 would be 1. 2 and 28 are both divisible by 2. 28 divided by 2 is 14. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. Just copy this. It becomes 1 also. And then just copy the 14. This will become 1. This will become 1. And this will become 1 also. So therefore, the LCD will just become the product of 9, 2, and 14. That will become 9 times 2 times 14. So, not be shy to compute manually. 9 times 2 is 18 times 14. Let's do it here. 18 times 14. That's 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 3 is 7. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. So we have here 2. 7 plus 8 is 15. 252. So therefore, the LCD is 252. That's it. We now finish discussing the 3 cases. Just a reminder. Let me just show you again the different cases. For case 1, when the denominators are relatively prime, the LCD is just the product of the denominators. In case 2, if the denominator is a multiple of the other denominators, just copy the higher denominator. And in case 3, the denominators have a common factor, you use continuous division. Okay, you are now ready to answer the written work. Good luck! For your written work, please copy this in your notebook. Maybe it would be best if you screenshot this. It will be easier for you to write down the given in the notebook. Written work number 3, identify the case and find the LCD. So let's have an example here, 1/2 and 1/3. The case here would be case 1, and the LCD would be equal to 6. It means you have to put 2 answers, the case and the LCD. Number 1, we have 11 over 45 and 14 over 15. Number 2, 5 over 7 and 1/6. Number 3, 5/6, 4/9, and 7 over 10. Okay? Good luck!